There's nowhere in church history or in early Christian literature do we find traditions attributed to the community as their source of transmitter, only as the recipients. Against the general form critical image of the early Christian movement as an anonymous collectivity, we must stress that the New Testament writings are full of prominent named individuals. Individual figures kept standing out in the earliest community, despite its collective constitution. They, and not the anonymous collective, exercised a decisive influence on theological developments. Compared with the prominence of named individuals in the New Testament itself, form criticism presented a rather strange depersonalization of early Christianity that still exercises an unconscious influence on New Testament scholars. And I agree, yes, it is rather strange that the form critics and those who champion their conclusions today ignore the many individual names in the Gospels. The evidence of individual transmission is in early church history, the Jerusalem church, where several apostles still resided, the fragment from Papias, and the early testimony of the Creed in 1 Corinthians 15-8. They applied folklore literature, which develops over centuries, to the Gospels, which were written during the lifetimes of the eyewitnesses. There is no evidence in church history that traditions circulated anonymously by Christian communities, and the form critics could not even demonstrate this. Form can only examine form, not speculate on the origin of the form. They essentially erased the eyewitnesses from history and made assumptions based on presuppositions that they were not able to demonstrate. John, the beloved disciple, an eyewitness to the crucifixion and the resurrection, who lived into the reign of Emperor Trajan, dying around 100 CE, passed down the Jesus tradition to those he taught, namely Papias, Polycarp, and Ignatius of Antioch. And they passed down the tradition to Irenaeus of Lyons, who passed down the tradition yet again to Hippolytus of Rome. The Jesus tradition has not changed over time. The Jesus tradition is the gospel of eyewitness